Hello and welcome to Andy Shed Live. This is Series 10, episode number 13 for Sunday the 13th of March 2022. Hello there everybody, welcome to the show. It is Sunday once again and we're here again. Only just though today. Bit of rushing about to do to get me here, but yeah, we're here. We've made it, and all is well with the world. Just sorting me chat thing out. Yeah. Right, who have we got with us today? Dominic's here. Jimmy's here. That's about all that's in the chat at the minute. Dominic says, did I get the tape machine back? Okay, I got the tape machine back. I sent you a message, Dominic. You don't check your phone, obviously. Yes, the tape machine has arrived. Okay, it's been in pieces this afternoon, and I found a missing belt in it. But now the missing belt has been replaced, and it is working. So the machine is now up and running, and it'll be going to the radio studio some point this coming week. But yeah, it is up and running. So how cool is that? Wesley's here, Spiggy's here as well. Evening, folks. So everybody's here today. What have I been up to this week? I don't really know. It's been one of those weeks this week, where you're sort of doing all kinds of weird stuff and that, just basically getting stuff done. One thing that I have been doing this week is more handsets, more trim phone handsets. I think I've got about 60 or 70 to do now that are like that, basically. When they arrive with me, and somehow you've got to get those back together. So this is the last one I've got sat on the desk in front of me. I might do this as I'm sat here talking to you. This one, but yeah, that's the trim phones are. It's happening with the trim phones gradually, shall we say? We're gradually. Getting on with it, but it is taking a bit of doing. Well, yeah, we're getting there. As always, of course, if you want to get in touch with us here at the show, you can. We do have a website, which is here. andyshed.corepress.net is the website, and if you like what you see, of course, you can join us on Patreon too, which is here, patreon.com/AndysShed. And don't forget there's a forum. gpotelephones.proboards.com is the forum address. If you want to have a chat when we're not on air, you can get into the forum there and do it all that way. gpotelephones.proboards.com. Alright, I'm just going to put this last trim phone handset back together while people are appearing. Apologies for my lateness, says Wesley. I've been busy scaring myself with a nail gun. What have you been doing, Wesley? But, I went to a concert once, and the support act at the concert was a duo called John and Wayne. Actually, they weren't just a duo. I think there was three of them. There was a girl with them as well, I think, with John and Wayne. But they had a wonderful song. One of the best support acts at a gig I've ever seen. And they had a song called I Nearly Killed Keith, brackets, with a nail gun. And I've never forgotten it. It's years since now. It's probably 10 years since now. And I've just never forgotten it. It was that funny. This is broken in rather a strange place. this one. It's kind of broken right on where the cable goes through. So I'm hoping I can put this one back together. I might not be able to. Let's see, shall we? Get plenty of acetone on it. Like so. And then you just put it together as quick as you can and hold it there for a while and give it a good press together so that the joint disappears, basically. Oh, Gambo's with us as well now. Hi, Gambo. As he says, he's not had any accidents. Just incredibly wary of a machine that can fire 90mm long nails into solid timber. Yeah, it worries me, the power of nail guns. You think, how's it done that? How's it put that nail straight in there in one shot? Personally, I'm a great fan of the hammer. Personally, I don't think I trust myself with a nail gun. Hammers all the way for me. But, yeah. Right, I think that is holding together okay. Dominic says, that reminds me of the double act at the East Anglia Transport Museum you told me about. Yes, the double act at the East Anglia Transport Museum was Lou and Owen, not John and Wayne. But yeah, like I say, these guys at this concert were John and Wayne. I don't know if they're still around or not. Somebody Google them, see if John and Wayne are still around. With their hit song, I Nearly Killed Keith with a Nail Gun. Very, very funny. Right, has it stuck together? Oh yeah, I think it might have. So we can still see a bit of a crack in that, but it's not too bad. So I'll put it there. When you do this with your paintbrush, you'll find that even if you rinse your paintbrush out in the acetone, your brush will go hard as you sort of leave it there. But as soon as you start using it again and put it back in the acetone, it will soften up again. So you'll be alright. I had a bit of a problem with the acetone. You know, I get this acetone out of the pound shop. The last lot that I got was in a slightly different bottle. It was in a bluish bottle. And I opened a bottle of it yesterday, and horror of horrors, they've coloured it blue. So I'm hoping that the blue acetone doesn't actually colour the plastic when I use it. So not tried it yet on the plastic. I was just using it to clean something yesterday. But yeah, I looked in this blue bottle. I found the acetone was actually blue inside the bottle as well. Not good. But that's a fairly old bottle of it. You must make sure you get 100% acetone, or at least 99% acetone. Don't get that that's mixed with water that the pound shop often sell, because it won't work. Gambo says, send you an email this afternoon, Andy, of my new purchase, which is taking the mickey. I bet I can guess what that is. Right. So let's have a look, see if I can find out what that is then, Gambo. Where are we? Where's my email? Just looking for it. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. let's see if it's come through. No Christopher this evening, by the way. He says hello, but he's not actually around this evening because he's had some early mornings, so he couldn't have the late night, which this show is if you happen to be in Australia. But he says he'll catch up after the event, sort of thing. So he will be with us. Right, what have we had this afternoon? Oh, he hasn't sent me a... Yeah, it is what I thought it was. Yeah. Right then. Can I get that on a camera? I ought to be able to. That seems to work. Hang on. Right, we've got it. So here's Gambo's latest I won't say creation, but he's not created it, he's just bought it. There you go. I've not seen one of those for years. But that does actually look like quite an old one. Looks like it came from an auction as well. Sheffield Auction Gallery puts numbers on like that. Oh, hang on. Post office property. That's not entirely correct because I don't think they were post office property. As far as I'm aware, they were sold in the telecom shops and that. But could you rent one before the shops existed of those? Were they a rentable thing? It's got a box standard dial 21 on it. Excellent. I like it. It's very good. That is. Mickey Mouse. Wesley says he's got the inspiration together. Right, Wesley, send me an email, Wesley. Because you and Gambo need to speak, don't you? So send me an email, Wesley. Save me having to go back through all my stuff and find your email address. Because things have got a bit mixed up here just recently. Dominic says he's got a smart plug today, which is hooked up to his tape deck and tuner, so he can record the radio when he's out, the old-fashioned way. Cool. And when Dominic says tape deck, he means tape deck. He doesn't mean cassette deck. He means tape deck. Dominic says he thinks the Mickey Mouse phones were part of the special range before BT, when you paid a supplement for them. Oh yeah, like the contemporaries were. I think you might be right there. Dominic. Fat Hobbit is also joining us this evening. Hello, Fat Hobbit. Nice to see you. Right, that's me. Things set. It is setting. I think that repair will probably hold. Right, I suppose you'll want to go and see the tape deck, aren't you? Right, can I do that? Right, I need to see if I can go and show you the tape deck. Right, I'm going to be disappearing from the chat a minute. I won't be able to see the chat for a minute or two. Just bear with me a moment. I need to stop that. Yeah. Oh no. no, that's wrong, Andy. Right, I need to start that. Hopefully. Will it start is the question. It might not. Doesn't look like it's going to do it. Well, it was supposed to be starting up. I knew this would give me an issue if I tried to do this. Right, bear with me a sec. I could just go and get it, couldn't I? Would that be easy if I went and got it? That would probably be easier, wouldn't it, if I go and fetch it rather than take you to it. Right. Yeah, I think I'll go and fetch it. So put that back on. Like so. Right. I'll go and fetch it. I'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Right, I'm back and I've got it. Right, the question is, where am I going to put it? That's not really big enough for it to sit on that desk there. Yes. Right, I'd have to have a major clearance of things for a moment. One of those things where there's just not enough space. This, you'll see why in a minute. I'm going to do it upside down as well so you can see it. Right. And hopefully you'll be able to see this. Right, there you go. You should be able to see it now. This is a Sony reel-to-reel tape machine, and it's rather good. Just looking for somewhere to plug it in, just a sec. Got it. Right, it's plugged in now. So this arrived yesterday in non-working condition, and the problem with it was that it didn't play. Everything else worked, but it didn't play. The reason it didn't play was there was a belt missing inside it. I'd got a belt kit for it, so I've managed to put that belt back on this afternoon, and now in theory it plays, so we'll give it a try, shall we? Now the other day I got the, don't it look like this, a plastic box that if you open it like that, a roll of tape drops out. How good is that? So now you won't be able to hear anything because it's not coupled up to any speakers or anything, but you will be able to see it in operation. So I don't think Dominic ever saw it in operation. Did it ever work, Dominic, while you had it this, or did it come to you broken? So stick a reel, and I'm doing it upside down again, so doing things upside down makes them 10 times more difficult. So that goes under there, that goes under there, like that. That goes there, something like that. And you kind of live in the hope that you can trap it in there. Oh, go on. That's it, I think we might have got it now. There, something like that. So as you will see, Dominic, it now plays. Hey! And what gets me about this is how absolutely silent it is, and you can't see the meters on it there, can you? But it's doing something, because if you look at the bottom of the screen there, the meters are indeed moving. Not massively, but they are moving. So whatever is recorded on here seems to be recorded on at quite a low volume, because as far as I know there isn't anything to alter the volume control on it. Monitor is for tape or source. You can monitor your incoming source. So if I switch that to source, you see the meter stops, there's no source plugged into it. So put them back to tape, and they are actually going up. But it is working, and it will fast forward and everything. There you go. So it's doing stuff, but it gets me, it's absolutely, totally silent. It's the quietest machine of any kind, I think, that I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's silent, it's totally silent, it's amazing. Well, you can kind of hear it sound. If you can hear a hum in the background, that's this computer. That's not this this tape machine. But you also notice, Dominic, I've turned it round in the box as well. It's now in lying down mode, because you can take the whole thing out of its wooden case, and you can have it either sort of stood up or laid down by turning the innards, turning the machine itself around in the case. Dominic says, I think you can adjust the volume at the side and the output, or from the line level knob. Yeah, on the side here there is a thing that says level adjustment, but I think that is for the line going out. It doesn't adjust what the meters say, as far as I know. Yeah, it doesn't seem to make any difference on the meters, turning that little knob on the side. So I think that's just the actual line out that you're adjusting there, because the levels on line out are different on domestic equipment to what they are on professional equipment. Line out sends stuff out at different levels, depending on whether it's domestic or professional. But it's rather good, isn't it? So there you go, it's working. There's your fast forward, stop, and there's your rewind. So this will be going into the radio studio this week, and we will be giving it a try and see what's on some of these tapes. And I got another big box full of tapes the other day as well, so we'll see what's on them. See if there's anything exciting on there. So I'm letting that wind back now, so I can get the tape spool back in the. It's like some sort of very thin plastic. Maybe it's acetate or something. This actual spool thing. It's very flimsy. It's amazing it survived. That says it's Scotch magnetic tape, but it says BASF on the roll, so who knows? Who knows? Right, what's everybody up to? Fat Hobbit says, remind me what F&F stands for. It looks familiar. Ferrite and ferrite. Oh yeah, that one it says. Ferrite and ferrite. Gambo says, what oil or grease is best used for the moving parts? As my one needs to be oiled, as it hadn't moved for years. For the moving part, what, of a tape machine? One of these? That's a very good question. I would assume a very light oil, but there's not much you want to oil really inside it. Might be a few bearings here and there, so I would say a light oil. I think the trusty 3-in-1 oil, but very small amounts of it would probably be as good as anything. There's various mechanical cams and things that you might want to put a bit of white grease on. I'd say a little bit of white grease, but again, not too much. You know, there's mechanical things that slide, metal bits that slide against each other and stuff. Maybe a bit of white grease on them. I would have thought. That seems to be what I find already in there in stuff like this. So that's probably the best thing, but not too much of it, because I had a record player arrive a while ago that had been oiled up and greased. It had all set hard, and the thing was completely solid, and I ended up buying another one for bits that had never been oiled or greased or anything, and everything was still moving on it, on that one. It had never had any grease or oil or anything since it left the factory in the 50s or 60s, and that one was okay. So oil and grease, yes, it's a good idea, but you can overdo it. So sparingly, I think, is the answer to it. Sony TC280 is Gambo, he says. Everybody's got Sony stuff, haven't they? But, was nobody else making anything? Was it all Sony? I know BBC, old BBC broadcast stuff was Sony, sort of in the 70s and that, so I'm not terribly surprised, but Sony did make a good product, and still do, as far as I know. I think Sony's still okay now. But this thing is just amazing. It is so quiet. It is just gobsmacking how quiet it is. Right. We'll take that off and put it back in its canister, for want of a better word. Now, Dominic was asking me, when I went to see him yesterday and picked this machine up, he was asking me about tapes being stored leader out. And it dawned on me, after I left you, Dominic, that in the world of broadcasting, everything is always stored leader out, so it's ready to play. But it's not for that reason. It's not so you can just stick it on and play it. The reason it's always stored leader out is that generally in the world of broadcast, on the leader they actually write with a marker pen what is on that tape, because it's okay writing it on a piece of paper or on the can or something, but of course the tapes and the cans get mixed up. If you're in a broadcast environment and you've got a big pile of tapes of either audio tape or video tape to play, you know, they might not be in cans. You might took them all out the cans so you can spool them up, and the cans and the tapes get mixed up. So they always used to write on the actual leader of the tape what was on the tape. And BBC things, if you pull out a BBC tape, I'm talking about videotapes now, but I'm guessing they probably do the same with audio tapes. If you pull it out, it will normally have written in marker pen, like BBC TV in marker pen on it, and what was on it. So that's why they're generally leader out, so you can just pull the first bit out and read what's on the tape. So yeah, so this is the Sony deck that is going into the radio studio at Plesley Vale. Not quite sure what we're going to use it for, but I dare say we will at least record or play out the occasional bit of programming from it, just to prove that we can, basically. So yeah, but it's quite big. It's not as big as the U-matic video machines, but it's getting there. It's getting there. It'll be a good match for the U-matic video machines, actually. It's in the same sort of wooden box. So there you have it. The The reel-to-reel, the tape machine. It's rather good. Right, I've got to try and put it on the floor again now or something. I don't know. Take it somewhere else. Hang on. Right. Can I move it? Let us see. Yes, I can move it just about. They're not exactly portable though. They're really not portable, those things. Right. But what really impresses me is this thing to put the tapes in. Has anybody seen these before? It says BASF on it. It says Scotch on there. It says BASF on there. What does it say on the actual tape again? On the actual tape. Oh, it's a BASF tape. So this bit of paper in here is wrong. But I just thought that was really clever how they just open like that. And then your tape just basically rolls in there like that. And you just shut it like that. I don't know if there's been 3 separate ones glued together here, because there are 3 tapes in here, obviously. So, there you go. But I don't know if somebody's glued 3 together or if they came like that. If anybody knows, let me know. But it's a really good way of storing the tapes. I like it because it means you can stack them but get access to them. What's not good about it though, they've not put a little handle on to get these doors open, so you have to sort of mess with your thumbnail to do that, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. But yeah, it's rather cool. We rather like it. Right, what is everybody up to in the chat? Dominic says he's got the mid-70s Sony Hi-Fi that he's gradually built up. And Gambo says he's missing the dust cover from the front. Gambo says missed the dust cover. No, not seen that, Andy. And to be honest, I want some for my tapes. Yeah, they're good. Yeah, you mean this? You mean this thing? This thing you want? One of these? Yeah, they're good, aren't they? I'm half considering trying to do a 3D printing file to 3D print some of these, but the trouble is they take forever because they're quite big. But it probably would be worth 3D printing because they are really clever. I say BASF. It's a stunningly good idea. Right, okie dokie. So that's that. Not a lot else to tell you really this week. It's been a busy but quiet, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's been a bit of a strange week this week. Mainly because I've been out trying to beat the fuel problems at the moment, the ridiculous price of fuel that we are seeing at the minute. Because even though only 10% of our fuel comes from the Ukraine, the oil companies have decided that they are going to use it as an excuse to bump the price up a hell of a lot. So diesel's £1.70 something around here at the minute. So I thought, to hell with this. So this week I've been out looking at electric cars, and I've had a test drive in a thing called a Renault Twizy. And if any of you don't know what a Renault Twizy is, it's very hard to explain because it's not like any car you've ever seen in the world. It's like something that's beamed down out of a Buck Rogers movie. It's but I had a test drive on one, and I have to say it's the most fun vehicle I've ever driven. I think it could probably only be beaten by an Argo cat or a duck, but but the Renault Twizy is a really good car. The one that I went to have a look at had got slightly suspect batteries, so I didn't end up buying it. But this coming week I'm hoping to go and have a look at some more. So hopefully there'll be a Renault Twizy joining the fleet sometime before long. Wesley says, I love a Twizy. I thought you were into Land Rovers, Wesley. A name like Wesley Pegg, didn't you? Dominic says, it's a shame there weren't any good library cases for 10.5 inch reel tapes, as far as I know. What did the broadcast people put them in, I wonder? Did they just leave them in the cardboard sleeve? Yeah, they probably just left them in the cardboard sleeve and just put them on a shelf. Yeah. Spig says, your electric will be going up soon. You can't win. No, but I don't think the electric will go up as much as the diesel, though. And if the electric does go up as much as the diesel, then there'll be solar panels appearing and windmills and stuff. Because I'm on top of a hill here. If anybody made a sort of wind generator, if you could buy, there was a time when you could buy wind generators in B&Q and that, and then they stopped selling them for some reason. I don't know why, but if anybody sort of sold a wind generator, I'd have one, because I'm on top of a hill here and it gets so windy you would not believe how windy it gets up here, because the wind blows straight in off the Derbyshire moorland and off the Yorkshire moors and that here, straight in. You know, we can see for miles, and of course, because you can see for miles, the wind can blow across for miles, and the first thing it hits is the front of this house, and it's bleak, let me tell you. Wesley says it's a quadricycle, strictly speaking, isn't it? A Renault Twizy, not a car. Yes, it's technically what they call a heavy quadricycle, Wesley. I didn't know there were heavy and light quadricycles. I had no idea. So yeah, technically it is a quadricycle. Fat Hobbit says, how exciting, you can get government funding for a home charging point. Yeah, only till the end of this month you can. And I think that's only on new cars as well. And the ones that I'm looking at aren't new. The second hand's the one that I'm looking at. But I think the charging point's only for new cars. You don't need it for a Renault Twizy anyway. There's no benefit from having a charging point. It charges up on a 3-pin plug. There's a little sort of cubby hole in the nose of the vehicle. We'll call it a vehicle because, as I said, it's not strictly a car. There's a little cubby hole in the nose of the vehicle. You open a little door, and there's like a giant telephone curly cord with a 3-pin plug on the end of it that you just plug in, and in 3.5 hours it's charged up. So yeah, very cool machines. Just excellent. So I'm scanning Auto Trader and that for them at the minute, because like I say, the one I went to look at, there hadn't got much range on the battery. I think the battery was degraded, because the batteries degrade over time. So Wesley says, I'd happily ditch the oil burner in my Land Rover for an EV conversion. Yeah, all the oil burner in your Land Rover, that doesn't matter so much, because that'll run on cooking oil. That'll run on veg oil, a Land Rover. I know, because I've done it. So, yeah, you should be able to run that on cooking oil. At the minute, my van, my Vauxhall van, or what is it? Oh, of course, the model of the van. Oh, my brain. Little Vauxhall van. Come on, yeah. But that, at the minute, that runs on biodiesel that's made at a place in Sheffield. But of course all the rules are changing. They're not going to be allowed to make this biodiesel anymore, blah 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 blah. So basically you're not going to be able to get biodiesel anymore. So you've either got to make your own biodiesel or just run on straight veg oil. I don't think the van will run on quite on straight veg oil. It might run on 50-50 veg oil and diesel with a little bit of petrol thrown in to thin the veg oil down. It might do that, so we'll be looking into that, shall we say. Wesley says, if you're looking at a Twizzler, there's a guy called Andy Kirby on YouTube who has one. And he raves about it. Yes, I've watched Andy's videos. Must be something about people called Andy and Renault Twizzlers. But yeah, I've watched Andy Kirby's videos. He's quite good, isn't he? He's done quite a lot of modifications to his as well. He's got a black one. He's put like wider wheels on and done all kinds of things to it. But yeah, I do know somebody who had one from when they first came out a few years ago, and he raved about it as well. He said it's one of the best vehicles he's ever owned. And having had a test drive in this one the other day, Friday I think it was, I can see why. It's a very hard ride. It's a very hard ride. If you hit a pothole, you know about it. But it's great fun to drive. You can really throw them around into corners and things. Incredible. And they don't feel small. They're actually tiny. I couldn't find it on the car dealer's forecourt. I went to the car dealer and I thought, there isn't a Renault Twizy here. Am I in the right place? But there was. It was sort of tucked in a corner. It was hiding behind another car because they're so small. And you look at it and you think, that is so small. Is that going to be safe on the road and that? But when you're actually in it, it doesn't feel small. You feel totally fine. You just feel like you're in a normal small car, you know. You know, you feel like you're in like a Mini or a Nissan Micra or something like that. It feels fine. You do keep going for the gear lever that's not there though. So yeah. So I'll keep you informed as to what happens on the old Renault Twizy front and that. On the telephone front, not much has occurred this week. It's been very quiet actually on the phone front this week. There's only been one thing arrived that I forgot that I'd ordered, and that's this. Yes, another one, another book set. I've got about 4 or 5 of these now, but they keep turning up cheap on eBay. You know, they keep turning up for like £9 or £10 on eBay, and nobody bids on them because they don't know what to do with them. So, but this one's in quite nice condition. It's quite nice and clean. They're not normally this clean, but there you have it. If you want to wire one of these up to your phone line, it's really, really easy because your 2 incoming wires on your phone line, you just wire the 2 wires in this up to them. So the wires that come into your house, these straight onto them, and you can then make a phone call. Your hook switch effectively is this red button here, which you can hold in by putting it in and twisting it like that, and it stays in there. Can you see that? Twist it back and it pops out again. So like that, or like that. And it's got this tiny dial, and this one's quite smooth. I've not had this one apart or anything. It is quite smooth, this one. If you do want to take one of these apart, because it's all moulded in rubber, you might think, how do you get it apart? What you have to do is, this rubber bit comes out, so you have to go in there like that with a flat bladed screwdriver, preferably one with a fairly blunt blade on it so you don't damage the rubber. And it's a bit like changing a tyre. You just you just pull all that out like that. Right, just bear with me just 1 second. My phone is ringing. Just a. Sorry about that. I get phone calls at the worst possible times. So as I was saying, you just sort of, a bit like changing a tyre, you just sort of scoop that front piece out, and that's the back of the dial there, and there's a little label on there, if you can see, it's got all of the sort of wiring diagram for the phone in it. But here's your little, in here is your just your standard units, your transmitter and your receiver, and they are just standard ones in a very non-standard case sort of thing. I'll try and get it back together again now. So that kind of sits like that, and then when you're putting it back together, there's a bit there, you see, where there's no groove in the rubber, so that bit, that cutaway bit, has to go in there, something like that, and then it's just a matter of working your way around again. And ideally don't do it with a screwdriver with interchangeable bits, because that happens. You can just shove it all back together. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it is doable, and that is, sorry, I'm not doing it in front of the camera, am I? That is basically the correct way to do it. Just, like I say, just like putting a tyre on a rim, if you've ever done that. Exactly the same sort of principle. Work your way around. Eventually it will go in. There we go, nearly got it. Nearly there. That end's gone in too far, it's not got in the groove. That's more like it. I'm nearly there. Sort of jiggle it about a bit and it's back in. There you go, you see? And you take the other end out in a similar way. So, yeah, quite an interesting bit of history. I mean, eventually, of course, these things will disappear because there was a limited number of them anyway. So I keep buying them when I see them. Like I say, I've got about 4 or 5 now. 1001. Perhaps it's running just a little bit slow. 1001. Yeah, just a little bit slow, perhaps that. Dial, as always, it's just undo the centre of this, screw in the middle of it. Finger wheel comes off like that, and I'm not sure how if that comes out from this side. I don't think it does on these. Not quite sure what you do next. Whatever you do, do not undo those 2 screws, but I think you have to get the rest of the dial out on these before you can get the plate off. I'm not sure, I can't remember. It's a long time since I've done it, but that is the finger wheel. So there you have it. So that's the only thing that's arrived this week. Nothing else has come this week. So that's the only phone that's arrived. I'm going to be a bit selective about telephones now because I'm running out of space to put them. That's me. That's my problem now. Right, chat's gone back onto the silly top chat. Wesley says in the chat about the Renault Twizy, he says he thinks the issue with them is that Renault retains ownership of the batteries, and you have to pay a monthly rental. It might have changed though. Yes, it has, Wesley, it's changed. Mainly it's changed because the batteries are all starting to get to their the end of their life. The battery in an electric car, any electric car as it stands at the minute, from what I can understand, is probably going to last about 10 years from new, with the current battery technology. And some of these Twizzies are now 10 years old. Can't understand why they're still so expensive because of this. But when the Twizy was new, they were around about £7,000 or £8,000 new. But that didn't include the battery. The battery you had to rent from Renault, and depending on how many miles you thought you were going to do in a year, depended on what the battery rental was. So I think the rental started at about £45 a year, and that's up to like about 5,000 miles. But if you do 10,000 miles a year, which is the average what people normally do in their car, you know, most people do about 10,000 miles a year in a car, then the battery rental's more. The battery rental's about £100 a month. So quite expensive, the battery rental, once you bought the car, like £100 a month. So a lot more than you would have paid in fuel. Now, a while ago, maybe a year ago, something like that, 2 years ago perhaps, Renault started offering people the chance to buy out the battery. And what you pay to buy the battery depends on how old the battery is and what its SOH value is. It's what they call its state of health, SOH. And this car that I went to have a look at the other day, for instance, the dealer, the car dealer who took this car into stock, had bought the battery out and they charged him 400 quid to buy the battery out. Now that told me, because the batteries are 5,000 something pounds new, the battery, if you want to buy a battery from Renault, because we've rung a Renault dealer up and asked them. So the battery's £5,000, but from the battery leasing company, this dealer was able to buy this one for this car for £400. Now that, together with the fact that the car was almost fully charged and it was only showing a range of 20 something miles on it, told me that battery was probably on its last legs. So that's why I didn't buy that particular car. But the problem used to be, you see, you used to buy this car from Renault, then you had this maybe between £45 and £100 a month battery rental, and that was more than you would normally pay in fuel to put in your car, probably, if you drove the average 10,000 miles a year. But now, with the fuel prices going up so much as they are, and they've gone up something like 50 pence in less than a month, 50 pence a litre in less than a month, you can now basically get an electric car on HP for around about £200 a month with the battery included. Now, I reckon with fuel prices going the way they are, you're soon going to be paying £200 a month for your diesel or petrol for your normal car doing your normal amount of mileage. So that's why all of a sudden electric cars are looking a lot more reasonable, particularly a very small, very light electric car with a small battery that doesn't take much charging, not many kilowatt hours to charge a battery for a Renault Twizy. So yeah, I'm looking at using it. I'm not looking at getting rid of the van and stuff like that, but I'm looking at using it for those short journeys where it's just me, like going to the supermarket on a Saturday morning just to fetch a newspaper, or where I'm just going to the post box with something, or those journeys where you're doing 5 or 10 mile here and there sort of thing. So I'm looking at cutting down the normal vehicle mileage with a Twizy. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking to totally replace a vehicle with a new electric car, because frankly I don't think electric cars are up to being a main vehicle yet. The technology isn't really there yet, but it can sort of help out for those shorter jobs. And I think that's what we've all got to do in reality. I think the way to go, electric cars won't be good enough for a long time to be your main vehicle, but I think what will happen is, if you think, right, I need 2 vehicles, but obviously only drive one at a time, but 2 vehicles to do different things with different vehicles, I think that will be the way we go. So that's what I'm looking at the moment. Back to the telephones. Fat Hobbit says, have you ever collected Russian phones? Vladimir Putin seems to have an impressive array of analogue phones on his desk. Does he? I hadn't noticed. To be honest, I'm trying not to watch all this nonsense about the Ukraine and that, because it's all very one-sided reporting, and they're making the Ukrainians out to be totally innocent in all this, and in reality, if you remember recent history, they're not totally innocent. I mean, okay, Vladimir Putin does seem to be the aggressor, but has he got something legitimate to be aggressive about. Well, they twice interrupted one of his oil pipelines and stole all the oil out of the oil pipeline. Did the Ukrainians. So that's something they've done twice. And interrupting an oil pipeline, it's not like the water pipes to your house, you know, you've got a 15 mil pipe or something. You know, it's a massive thing. You can drive a car through an oil pipeline. And twice they intercepted an oil pipeline that went through the Ukraine and diverted all the oil and basically stole all the oil that was heading for Germany or somewhere. So yeah, they're not totally innocent. I'm not saying they necessarily deserve what they're getting, but they're not totally innocent, which is how the news and that is portraying them. But what I really don't like about it is the news is supposed to be unbiased. News is supposed to report the news. It's not supposed to say who is right or wrong. It's not supposed to say who is good or bad or what should or should not be happening. News is supposed to just report the facts, and they are not doing that at the moment, so consequently I'm not watching it. Miguel says those butt sets, these, were originally made with letters on the dial, but you don't see them now. Mine had one with letters, which in the exchange never seen that type on eBay, but I keep looking. I've got one with letters. There's letters printed within the dial. Obviously there's not room for a dial surround on this, but they're sort of in the middle bit, aren't they? The letters. I've got one that's got those on. Now I don't know if it's one that came off eBay, because I have got at least one, maybe two, from car boot sales before the pandemic and that kicked off, and when I still used to go to car boot sales, you know, before going into a crowd of people like committing suicide. I did get at least one, maybe two, from car boot sales. So I'm not sure if it came from there, if it came off eBay, but I have got one with those letters on. I can't find it out right now because it's probably in the loft somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but yes, I have got one somewhere. I know exactly what you mean. Now it says, check out Russian phones on eBay. Some look quite good, but the dials were very crappy. A lot came from the Ukraine at sensible costs. Alright. I didn't know that. Don't think there'll be anything coming out of the Ukraine now. At least not telephones. Dominic says, I think I saw that Vladimir Putin had an ivory 8782 on a photo once. Where did he get that from? Or something that looked a lot like it. I don't know. I'll take more notice now you've all said this. But yeah, Russian phones do pop up quite a lot on eBay, and they always do look a bit rubbish to me. You know, I've never bought one because they always look a bit as if they're made out of very thin plastic and tin, and not very good. Which is not what you would expect, really. You would think Russian stuff would be quite well built and stuff. Yeah. You know, you'll think it was money no object, comrade, for producing telephones, because I'm sure it's a state-run thing making telephones. So you would think they'd be quite good, but they never look very good. The Russian phones, they always do look like something that's been made on Blue Peter out of sticky back plastic and old toilet rolls. Yeah. So anyway, the book set is what's arrived this week, and as I say, this is quite a nice one. it's relatively clean. I've seen them that are all white and mouldy and nasty. You can do them with rubber and you. Hang on, trying to stand things up here. You can do things. You can do them with that rubber and you stuff that rejuvenates rubber, and it does work. And I did one with something else as well, and it worked. It rejuvenated, and I can't remember what I did it with. But anyway, yeah, rubber and new is the main thing that works on them. But yeah, they're quite interesting things, and of course they're made to be bashed around and that. You know, they're made to sort of clip on to that onto your belt with that thing there, and as you're going shimmying up your telephone pole, of course, they get bashed against your leg and bashed against the pole and that. So they are designed to be fairly rugged, which they do seem to be. So yeah, Miguel says he's going to put a Russian phone on YouTube. Go for it, Miguel. Go for. I wonder if the supply of Russian phones will dry up now then to eBay. I don't know. But it's amazing how many phones from all over the world appear on the UK eBay. You know, from all over the place. You know, Russia, France, Portugal, America. You know, all sorts pops up on eBay. I'd love to know how they get on there, because if you want to import a phone from America, the import duty costs more than the blooming phone does. But there seem to be quite a few that are already in this country. I have imported a couple from America in the past. One of which is the yellow one that's on the wall here. The wall version of the 500, if you like. I think that ended up costing about 40 quid in total. I think it was about 20 quid for the phone and 20 quid for the postage. But now it'll be a lot more than that. So yeah, I was hoping with Brexit, I was hoping we're going to get some sort of sensible trade deal with America, and I was hoping that we will be able to get stuff from America as cheaply as we currently get stuff from China. But that doesn't seem to have happened, does it? Right, okie dokie. Mega. Always something going on. Always something going on. So yeah. So that's the book set anyway. That's arrived this week. What else have we got? I think that's about it. Oh, I've still got these trim phones. If anybody needs a dial for an original trim phone, we have now got these. There's three, but it's the original type dial with the tritium tube built into the dial. I rescued these from somebody who was refurbishing a load of trim phones the other day. And I said, don't refurbish them because they're an original part. So I basically pinched those and said, don't refurbish them, I'll give you some rubbishy ones to refurbish. Don't refurbish them because they're good ones. So that's what we've done. We're doing a swap. Right. Dominic said, which country do you think had the best designed phones? Easy, Dominic. Don't even have to think about it. America. By miles. By absolutely miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. They were ahead of the curve. They were ahead of everybody else, and these 500s are just superb. Having said that, I did have a bit of trouble with this one last week. but but yeah, they're just really, really good in terms of design, in terms of durability, in terms of how easy it is to work on them. Yeah, just really, really, really good, really impressive. What I don't like is the modular conversions that get done on them, or got done on them by AT&T or whoever it was. These little sockety things that they put on instead of having the hardwired cords, because these little sockety things, they put them on as an afterthought, and they just sort of clip in and they're loose and they get damaged, like the one on the back of this one is damaged. It really was an afterthought. But that aside, the rest of it is just absolutely superb. Really, really, really good design. I've still got to sort out the cords and things for this, but a chap called Andrew in Wales, hello Andrew if you're watching this, has promised me some cords for this particular one, so hello Andrew. I will be dropping you an email, Andrew, about those cords. But yeah, he promised me some cords for this particular one, so it's awaiting those. But yeah, it just, I don't know if it comes across on the video, it probably doesn't, but they're just well built. They're just the right weight, you know, they feel well built without feeling heavy. And they don't bend, they don't flex, they just feel really good. Really good. So yeah, American 500s by miles are the best ones. Absolutely by miles. Right. But what do you think? What does everybody else think is the best phone? Leave a comment and let us know what you think the best phone is. Dominic says he's tempted to say the 500s, but not so sure after your last video. Oh, that was last week, wasn't it? Those dials look awkward to take apart. Yeah, they are, because they're riveted together, but they're not really designed to be taken apart. They're designed to be replaced. Unit replacement. You take it apart and replace it with a new one and get it back together again. So they're not designed to be taken apart to the degree that we now take them apart. They were designed to have a lifespan, which they've more than exceeded, and they were designed for unit replacement, and that's what they did. And the Bell system in America was really good at refurbishing stuff. They did stuff over there that we never did here. They used to paint phones. They used to officially refurbish them and paint the cases. And I don't know what paint they used on the cases, but it doesn't come off. It's really good. It's a really good coating. Wesley Pegton says Trimfo was the best phone. Definitely not. It depends how you're looking at it, Wesley. It depends if you're looking at it from, that's a nice looking phone to own and to use, or if you're looking at it from maintenance point of view. Look at all these that I'm repairing at the minute, because they're all broken, all cracked in the same place across here. Some of them broken clean off, and it's a common thing with trim phones. The 6 here, I've got a box full sat waiting to be done. I think I've got about 50 or 60 waiting to be done, and there's some more to come. Because they all crack in the same place. They all crack just there, and it goes right round, ends up going right round, and you end up with a handset in two pieces. It is such a common problem with them. And the other problem with them is they fade. There are actually only 2 colours of handset there, believe it or not. There's 2 colours there. Oh, that colour and that colour. They are all supposed to be the same colour, and they do this. Well, not really fading, because they darken. But yeah, so they're not perfect. So that's what goes against them. And also what goes against it, in my point of view, is if ever you try and use one, and you try and dial a number with one hand, it slides around on the desk as well. They never quite solved that problem. They tried to solve that problem, but they never quite managed it, really. So, yeah. Trim phones have their issues, shall we say. But, what does everybody else think? Yeah, says yes, good phones. What about the Princess phone? That's also well made. Have I got a Princess? There was a Princess and there was something else that was similar to a Princess, wasn't there? What was the other one that was similar to a Princess? I think I have got one. Starlight was the other one, wasn't it? Yeah, I've not done enough with those to really know one way or another about them. But yeah, I think they're pretty good. I think they're fairly okay. The one that was really good in this country was the last thing they made in this country with a dial, and I've got one of them. And do they call it an Ambassador? It was in that special range phone, along with Mickey Mouse and the Contemporaries. It was one of those special range phones, and they did it in yellow, and I think they did it in a beigey sort of colour as well. And it was the last phone with a dial. It was like a modernish flat phone, but it got a dial on it. And I've got one of those in bright yellow. It was in like bright Busby yellow, and that's really well put together. That phone, really well put together. It's all plastic, but it's exceptionally well put together. You know, it's thick plastic, but it's strong plastic. But that is a good one. But I'm guessing it was too expensive to make, to carry on. But that was a really good one. Contemporaries aren't bad either. I quite like Contemporaries, but they have issues with the cases cracking. Contemporaries. Right. Spet says 332. If for the looks, if nothing else. Yeah, 332. Not technically brilliant though, 332s. If ever you've called anybody on a 332, the person on the other end was probably guessing every second word that you said, because they were of an era where the technology still wasn't that great. You know, transmitters and things were not as good as they became a few years later, and they're also extremely heavy. If you don't make a long telephone because your arm drops off holding those handsets up here. You know, for the British Bakelite phones, my God, those handsets are heavy. What about the Dawn? by NT, says me get. The Dawn. What was the Dawn? Was the Dawn what I call the pancake phone? The round and almost flattish thing. Again, that was on the Special Rangers phone, wasn't it? Was that a Dawn? I think that was a Dawn, wasn't it? Now, have I got one of those? I've certainly worked on one, but I don't know if it was one that I bought or one that I worked on for somebody else and gave back to them. I can't remember. There's so many now in boxes. I don't know what I've got or what I've not got. But yeah, it seemed okay, but it wasn't easy to work on. That it had got, you know, it was a bit plasticky. You could easily break stuff on it. Wesley says, put the right receiver and an electronic microphone in a 332 and you'll have no problem. Yeah, but it'll still be heavy though, won't it? It'll still be heavy. And I think we're not talking about altering it to make it work. I think we're talking about what was the best sort of that was made that worked and was good to work on. I think that's what we're saying, because we can modify anything, can't you? You know, you can modify anything to make it work better and that. But Dominic says the 200 series was lovely looking phones, but they were a bit of a pain to disassemble compared to later phones. Yes, yeah, they are. Yeah, and of course the Bakelite, and it breaks. You know, at least most of them are Bakelite, and the black ones are Bakelite, and it breaks. Yeah, the worst thing about them and the 300 series is the ivory ones, because the ivory ones are not Bakelite. This is a popular misconception. Only the black ones are Bakelite. The ivory ones are something else, and somebody will say what it is. Come on, Wesley, what were the ivory ones made out of? But they go horrible. They go sort of brown and warped and weird, and yeah, they really do go unrecoverable. Really, they do go nasty. Miguel says, Ericaphone, my first phone when I was a kid. The Ericaphone is the most stupid design that I've ever seen in my life. The Ericaphone is a really good example of something designed by a designer who never bloody used one. I have cut more people off accidentally off calls with an Ericaphone than with everything else put together. If I'm going to cut somebody off accidentally on a call, it'll be because I'm using a blooming Ericaphone, because they have that stupid thing on the base whereby the hook switch is in the base. So when you stand the thing up on the table, it goes on hook, and when you lift it up, the button comes out underneath, and then it's off hook so you can dial. Of course, the dial's in the bottom of the phone. No problem with the dial being in the bottom of the phone, that's fine. What's the problem is the silly bloody hook switch in the bottom of the phone, because you're talking to somebody on it and you're having a conversation and they say, oh yeah, I'll give you that part number or whatever it is. So they say, hang on a minute, I'll just get a pen, and you put the phone down on the table and cut them off. Every time. I've done it loads and loads and loads of times with an Ericaphone, and you can't even, even if you have the forethought not to stand it up and so to put it on its side or something, you can't, because the bloody thing rolls over. It's the most stupid design of a phone I've ever seen. Why the Ericaphone ever got produced, I will never know. don't get me wrong, it looks cool from a design point of view, but it's absolutely hopeless as a blooming telephone. Where it says, now you're talking, Miguel, there was a lovely orange Ericaphone that was unique to the British Post Office. Was the orange one unique? Because in America they had a lot of colours of Ericaphone, and I can't believe they didn't have orange. Because not only did they have colours, they had shades of colours. You know, there is a very good Ericaphone website out there that's all about Ericaphones. A very good web page is purely about Ericaphones, and it shows you all the different versions and stuff. Where it says urea formaldehyde. Yes, that's what the non-Bakelite phones were made out of. At least the ivory ones, wasn't it? Urea formaldehyde or something like that. Spig says he loves my rants. Yes, Spig. Yes. It's the bloody Ericaphones. I years ago now, on one of the very early episodes of Andy Shed Live, I had a box of Ericaphones that had come as a job lot, about 5 or 6 in a box, maybe even more. I think there were parts for about 7, and out of these parts for about 7, one was just a casing, and another one got something wrong with it. I think I managed to make about 5 good ones out of the 7. And of these 5 good ones, 2 of them were red. And a friend of mine saw it, and he said, "Can I buy one of the red ones off you, as you got 2?" So I went, yeah, you can have it. And I sold it to him for 20 quid, this red one, because I thought, you know, it's not a phone I particularly like using, because like I say, cut people off on it. I sold him this phone. He took it home, put it on his windowsill, and months later I was round at his house and the phone rang, and he went, "Can you get that?" So I went, "Yeah, hello," and he said, "Is Alan there?" I went, yeah, I'll just get him for you. Put it down, and I bloody cut him off, not on my phone. So every time I use an Ericaphone, I cut the caller off. Every time, without fail. It's the most stupid telephone in the world ever. Dominic says urea formaldehyde was also used for the horns and drawers on the Bakelite phones as well. I think hence why they tend to be warped on the black ones. Yeah, was that urea formaldehyde again? I know they do go warped in the same way that they do. Yeah, I got one with horns that was warped. Is it this one down here? Hang on. No, it wasn't this one, I don't think. This one's okay. I don't think. Right, hang on a minute. I'll show you what I've just picked up in a minute. There you go. That's what I've just picked up. I mean, this one's quite a lot of work doing on it, this phone. It's been sat under the desk here and I forgot about it, to be honest with you. But it's quite nice. It's sat on a bell set, this one. And it's got what appeared to be its original cord, although that one looks a bit suspect. That might not be an original. It's too light a brown. But where's that going? Oh, that's the remnants of the line cord, that one. That light brown one. Right. But yeah, this... Yeah, so this bit and this bit and the drawer front do sometimes go warp, but they only warp on some, I've found, and not on others. So I'm wondering if they changed the formulation of what they made them out of. But this one is, well, it is what it is. Don't know if this has been on before, this one. It's actually a pretty good one, this. Is there any... Can't see any cracks or anything in the case of this one. And when I buy these, they normally have got a crack in the case, because that's normally why I end up with them. Chunk out the corner of the bell box there, but that's no great shakes. So I've got quite a lot of bell set covers. Yeah. But those handsets are so heavy. As you can see, that's got a bit missing, that handset as well. And look how it's gone. It's all sort of got all white and powdery in there. Right. So I might have to change this whole unit, because all the actual threads here have just deteriorated beyond what can be used. The threads are just not there anymore, which is a shame. But yeah, but that's one of those. One thing I will say about these dial 12s are really good. I really like these dial 12s. The phone that I've got on the desk here that I use all the time, I've got a dial 12 on it as well. So dial 12s are good. Right, that can go back under here. Totally forgot this was under there. It's been under there for months. Totally forgot. Now I've remembered it's there, I might have to do something with it. It says, nice phone, worth a bomb. What's the date on the handset, says Dominic. What did it say on the handset? Right, in the little over in the handset, it says the top sort of half of the fraction says, and that's the date I think, and it says H38, I think. So 1938, just pre-war. I have to get it going, that one. Dominic says mine's 1945. Ah, beat you then. I beat you with that one. I'll have to get some of the older phones done, because I've got 3 or 4 candlesticks that need restoring, and I've got 1 or 2 of those as well. So I'll have to get some of the Baker light stuff and some of the candlesticks and that done. But the main problem with them is the cords. And you buy the cords and they are ridiculously expensive, the cords. But what I've discovered is what the cords are made out of. If you sort of undo the plait, the single cord, sort of cotton covered cord on its own, you can still get, and it's made for a company that specialises in supplying wiring products for classic vehicles, and you can buy it relatively cheaply on a big roll and then plait your own cord together, and it's much cheaper than buying these pre-assembled cords that people sell now on eBay, and that are like 15 quid a cord. Wesley says, I've got a 162, which I'm sure is 1936. Yeah, you may well have. It sounds about right, that does. So you'd have beaten us there. Yeah. I have to do something with all the Bakelite. I'll have to find all the Bakelites out one day and get them all together, because I've got various Bakelite phones, British ones, Indian ones, yeah, all sorts of Bakelite stuff. The Ericsson Bakelite phones that were basically not adopted by the GPO. The Ericsson ones that were sort of similar to a 300 series but weren't quite the same. I got a load of those ones off eBay, and they were in a garden, under a tarpaulin in a garden, and it didn't look like they'd been touched for years. And when I went to pick them up, the person who I was getting them off was out and said, "Don't worry, they're under a tarpaulin at the top of the garden, in a cardboard box." So the person was out, so I went into this person's back garden, lifted this tarpaulin up that had got all dead leaves and things on top of this tarpaulin, so you could see how long it had been there, and underneath was this wet, rotten cardboard box that must have had about 30 or 40 Ericsson Bakelite phones in it, in various states of disrepair, from a foreign source, because they'd all got these strange numerals on the dials. Yeah, they came, and I think I've successfully restored about 2 of them so far, because all the cases were chipped around the bottom on every single phone and that. So one day I will get around to doing some more of those. But there were some green ones in amongst them, some green cases, just a couple. They were like, and the cases were very strange. I don't know what the green ones were made out of, but it was like a case made out of mint ice cream. It was that sort of colour, and it was just like a solid mint ice cream these cases were made out of. It was really strange. Miguel says, "Has anyone heard of a very old collector had a pot belly but was murdered by his wife? Mike Jonu was his name, from Thames Ditton. Very sad." No, it's not a name I know, and I've not heard the story. Is this recent, or did this happen a long time ago? I've read that right. Murdered by his wife. Ooh, No, I hadn't heard that one. I hadn't heard that. Wesley says, "Is it on a bell set, Dominic, your 200 series?" It can be. It can be. Yes, 200 series on bell sets, what they now call pyramid phones. It's not an original name. That's something that's been invented quite recently, calling them pyramid phones. Yeah, on the bell set, they tend to have the induction coil up in the telephone as well, not in the bell set. They tend to have been altered, so the induction coil is up in the phone, not in the bell set anymore. So they are bell set 26s that they are stuck to, not bell set 25s. Because I'm always looking for bell set 25s. Always wanting bell set 25s. Very rare you will ever see a bell set 25. They're nearly always 26s. The only difference between the two bell sets is that the 25 has an induction coil and the 26 doesn't. The 26, you open it up and there's a space where the induction coil should be in the 25. So if anybody has any bell set 25s you don't want, let me know. Miguel says it goes back to the 60s, this story. His wife got her boyfriend to murder him outside his house. There was a very old collector, and his wife had got a boyfriend. How old was the wife's boyfriend then that did the murder? I'm just picturing this. It just sounds strange. Where's this? The 162s were like candlesticks and need the bell set 25. Yes. Yes, and I think I've got a phone that started out as a 162 but then became a 200 series, got rebuilt into a 200 series, and when it became a 200 series it had the induction coil put in the phone, and that's where the bell set 26 comes along, which has not got the induction coil in it anymore because they managed to cram it into the phone. It might even be that one that I've just shown you, but I've certainly got one that started as a 162 and became a 2 something, I think. Just off the top of my head, just trying to remember it. I'll have to find them all out because I've got loads of them scattered about the place. The Bakelite. I'll find them all out. We'll have a Bakelite day. How about that? Right, okie dokie. I think we've probably about cracked it for today. It's gone everywhere, this hasn't it? From trim phone handsets to reel-to-reel tape machines to Bakelite telephones to Russian phones and stuff. Yeah, it's gone all over the place today. We have. We'll see if we can do it all again next week, shall we? All being well. Before I go, just a quick update about the radio station. There are more episodes about how to build a radio station, sort of in the pipeline, being edited and stuff at the moment. There will probably be one out, at least one, maybe 2 out, sometime this coming week. So watch out for it. If you have not hit that bell icon thing, hit it, and then you'll get a little notification thing when that does get uploaded. Miguel says, this guy that was murdered, he was in the army. He was in his 30s, and the pot belly was his pride and joy, sitting on his mantelpiece. Oh, the pot-bellied phone. Oh yeah. When you said a collector that had a pot belly, I thought you meant an old collector that had a pot belly. I didn't think you meant a collector that had an old pot-bellied telephone. I was imagining this. I was imagining an elderly fat bloke. I wouldn't say that's me, but he was in the army. He was actually only in his 30s. The pot belly was his pride and joy, sitting on the mantelpiece. That's more like it. Now it makes sense. So I should be laughing at this, but I just had this vision in my head. No, I didn't know the story. I didn't know that story at all. But, I wonder what happened to it. That phone. It's strange actually, because sometimes very old phones turn up not very expensive, and I think it's generally because very old phones don't have dials on, and so people think they can't use them anymore, so they don't sell in the antiques trade very well. So sometimes very old stuff does turn up. So it's always worth keeping an eye open. Right, okie dokie. I think we've about cracked it for one day today. Thanks to everybody for joining us once again. Like I say, we've been all over the place with this. I've now got to go and put this tape recorder back where I found it, and then it will be going to be installed in the radio studio at Plesley Vale some point this week, and at that point I'll be able to plug a set of headphones into it and maybe some speakers or something, and we'll find out what's on some of these tapes that arrived in a big cardboard box the other day. So that'll be interesting little number to do this week. By the way, did somebody on here the other week, did somebody say, and I heard it right, that Wilco's is now selling isopropyl alcohol? I'm having a bit of a problem getting isopropyl alcohol locally, and I'm sure somebody said they were selling it. I shall go and have a look. Fat Hobbit says I've got to go now, Andy. Bye everyone, see you all next week. Bye Fat Hobbit. In fact, I think I'm going to go as well before my computer turns back into a pumpkin. So I will say ta-ra as well, and we will see you all back here next week. As I say, don't forget, in the week, hopefully, there's going to be more about the radio station in the week, so watch out for that coming up. But until next week, we'll be back here live and direct next Sunday, 6 o'clock, all be well, for another Andy Shed Live. Bye for now everybody. Bye.